Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic: sex is an important part of a relationship. Now, I'm bringing this topic to the table because nobody wants to talk about sex in its entirety. Because individuals believe that sex is a dirty word. But if it was that dirty, why are a number of people doing it? And we're not just doing it for pleasure, we're doing it for money. But when it comes to a relationship, individuals, when they finally get together, particularly if they are married, the sex stops. Now, why does it stop? Well, there are a couple of things that can happen. Number one, couples take each other for granted. Number two, when couples get older, the man might have a problem with his testosterone, and the woman's body goes through hormonal changes. And number three, and there's a big one, the couple is really not interested in each other anymore. And that's a big problem. And when it comes to relationships today, there are a number of them that break apart or come apart at the seams because of a lack of sex. Now, I was listening to a show a long time ago called The Michael Baisden Show that came on from 3 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. And there were women calling in as well as men who said that they haven't even gotten in the shower with their own partners. Well, that's a problem. Now, one thing that I see that's going on in this day and age, particularly with the younger women, is that a number of them are into toys, lesbianism, and bisexuality. Now, why is that significant when it comes to men? Because the media promotes homosexuality, particularly with women. Yes, they're doing it now with men, but there are a number of men who are in relationships today that are basically dead relationships, particularly married men, and this is why married men cheat. Ladies, let me tell you this. If you want to keep your man around, you cannot deny him sex, and a number of you are doing it. When you are in a relationship, you cannot take that for granted. A number of women out here want to dangle that carrot in front of a man. And this is why I call sex in some relationships shut up sex. One must understand that in today's relationships, because of all the government laws, particularly if you get married, the woman holds all the power. That's true. It cannot be refuted. But let me tell you this. Ladies out there, if you're denying your man any kind of sexual pleasure, that man is going to go somewhere else and get it. It's true. Men enjoy sex. And you ladies enjoy sex as well. You just don't mention it the way we mention it. But it is important to a relationship. And guys, the same thing goes for you. Don't deny your lady of sex because she'll go get it somewhere else. When we have conversations about relationships, we always talk about who we are. Half of us lie about who we are anyway to try to impress the other person. But at the end of the day, the truth is always going to prevail, and you're going to be found out based on your actions. And when everything surfaces, the result is going to be you lied at the beginning of the relationship. Remember, a relationship is two people. But sex is very important. too many individuals go to work, go to school. We have everything else going on in our lives. But one thing I don't see, particularly in the real world, are couples enjoying affection. Sex is part of affection. Sex is healthy. And I know when some women get older, they feel like they don't have to have sex anymore. They become celibate. Okay, that's good, but when you're with a man, you can't expect a man to wine and dine you if you're not going to give him sex. And that would be the same thing for a man. Now, if you're having problems, you should seek help because it's very healthy to enjoy sex. And one thing that I see with married couples, the husband and wife, when the kids come along, everything falls by the wayside. There are no more date nights. The sex gets less because everything revolves around the kids and what the parents need to do to take care of the kids. I just believe we put too much emphasis on everything else in our lives except having sex. Sex is very healthy. Now, a way to help your sex lives is to, men and women, you have to continue to keep your appearance up because attractiveness is very important. Now, I did a video on November 30th talking about looks matter. Well, when it comes to sex, sex is 90% psychological and 10% physical. But the part of sex that individuals really don't get into is the kissing, the touching, the running the fingers through the hair, the smelling of the hair, even the visual of the negligee or the underwear that the man wears. Now, why is all this significant when it comes to sex? Because it gives both partners arousal. And if you can't turn each other on, the sex is not going to be good. And in most cases, when a couple is married or they're in a relationship for a long term, the sex does get dry. Why? Because it becomes very routine. Now, in a relationship, you have to take sex seriously. Sex is not all about just making kids, but many of us utilize it for the sense of making kids. And of course, there's prostitution and porn, which make money. Now, with the prostitution and porn, that's emotionless sex. Sex should be filled with emotion, especially if you're in a relationship. And the reason why sex fades away is because the relationship starts to fade away. Again, we get caught up in everything else. And one thing that has to happen with relationships today is, number one, we got to turn off the TV and we have to ignore the propaganda about relationships. I know the feminazis out there said that marriage causes women to be oppressed. Now, these are the same women out there who aren't very attractive. Why? Because to be attractive, you have to work on yourself. This is why a number of women who themselves envy women who get married, because the women who get married are pretty secure. The ones who don't get married are basically unattractive. Now, you have some beautiful women who don't get married or become involved in a relationship. Why? Because they listen to the propaganda of the feminists. Marriage is a stabilizer, but in any relationship, men and women, sex is very important, and we should talk about it. When you're on the phone getting to know somebody in a date, you should discuss sex. And sex should not be used as a weapon to get resources out of the other person. Now, there are a number of women who do use sex and they tease a man with sex, promising them sex, and they never deliver. And this is why men get upset. Sex is utilized as communication between a man and a woman to become closer. And if you don't have enough sex in your relationship, this is when both parties are going to think about somebody else. Now, the problem is when you go cheat, you still have to come back to the other person. Now, are you going to feel shamed about cheating? Are you going to feel guilty? Some people are, some people aren't. But the bottom line, if the man and the women aren't neglecting each other of sex, regardless of mood. Now, of course, you don't want to go as a man and just take sex because that becomes rape. And as you know in the news, there are a lot of allegations of rape that are going on. That's another video. But when it comes to sex, ladies, and I'm talking to you about this, you must deliver it to your partner. If you want to be served as a woman, you have to serve him. And that's the problem with a lot of these relationships. This is why men don't want to get married. Because if you're not having sex, your relationship is going to fall by the wayside. And many relationships fall by the wayside not only due to money, but to sex. It is very important for a man and a woman to continue to keep the pilot light lit if they want their relationship to last. Now, there are a number of individuals who don't want to be in that relationship anymore. And let me explain something to you all. If you're in a relationship and you're not having sex, you're not getting in the shower with each other, you're not getting butt naked with each other, I suggest you all who are in a relationship to start seeking help. Because let me tell you something. If you think it's going to be easy out here dating, you're crazy. Because all you're doing when you go out here to date, you're dating people who could be troubled from past relationships themselves, who probably left themselves because they weren't getting sex in their previous relationships. And what's going to happen when you get out there dating, certainly you're going to have flings, but that's not going to be enticing enough to help you settle down into a healthy relationship. Because at the end of the day, when you're single out here trying to date, yes, you might be enjoying emotionless sex, but you go home alone. Sex is very important when both parties are in tune to each other. And part of having good sex is to have date nights with each other. Too many men and women don't focus on their relationship. And I have to ask, why do you want to be in a relationship? Relationships are stabilizers. But sex is a big stabilizer. If both of you want to try different positions, get some Kama Sutra books. Watch porn together. You have to do what you need to do in the bed to keep your relationship alive. Because if you're not good in the bed, your relationship is going to fail, no matter what. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what your credentials are. You should focus on servicing each other. Because the bottom line, you could go and cheat as a man or a woman with many partners, but a few things can come into play. Unwanted pregnancies. You can get diseases such as AIDS. It's still out there because you don't know who those other partners have been sleeping around with. And remember something, when you go outside your relationship by cheating because you're not getting sex, well, what's happening, you're sleeping with that woman or that man and every other man and woman that that other party that you're cheating with has slept with. You got to remember that. Sex is good with the partner you're with because you know that partner. And this is why when you meet somebody, you should meet them at a young age. Unfortunately, marriages and relationships don't stay together long today because there are a lot of influences from feminists, from academia, from television that say relationships can be oppressive to women. Also, you have, when it comes to marriage, women initiate 73% of the divorces. So if there's a child involved, well, the man is going to end up paying alimony and child support. Those laws that the government have put out make it not beneficial for men to want to get married. And marriage is a stabilizer. But if sex is not part of your relationship, you shouldn't have a relationship. Certainly, there are a number of women who have gone celibate. That's fine. But again, just like I mentioned earlier in this video, if you make a man wait, he's going to cheat. And a man would be a fool if you tell him you're celibate and he's whining and dining you and you're receiving all the benefit and he's receiving nothing. Because let's be honest, men do want sex. I don't care who you are. You could be gay, you want sex. You could be a transgender person. The females and males, we all want sex. This is why women are buying vibrators. Unfortunately, with the younger women, they're into what's trending, and that's lesbianism, and that is also bisexuality and toys instead of a man. And the media is promoting all of this. But my point that I'm making is sex is important. And if you make a person wait too long, they're going to leave. Now, I know Steve Harvey has a 90-day rule out for sex. Okay. That rule is debatable. To me, if you're comfortable with each other, you should be able to make love to one another. I mean, I don't expect people to come and make love the first night because you don't know anything about that person. But the more time you spend with each other, the more you should get to learn about each other. Now, if a man is constantly taking a woman out and she's just dangling the carrot, well, that woman is wasting his time. And there are a number of women out there who are perpetual time wasters because what they're really looking for is not giving a man sex. They're just looking for a free dinner date. And then you have some men who are also looking for a free dinner date themselves, but it is not as frequent as what the women are looking for. And one item that women can push over man with her power is sex, because at the end of the day, she does control her own body for the most part, so it's going to be up to her when she wants sex. Now, too many women say they're tired. Too many women don't want to be bothered. The bottom line, if you're not servicing your man with sex, ladies, he's going to cheat. A man shouldn't have to beg for sex from his own woman. Just like you shouldn't have to beg him. But at the end of the day, if your relationship is going down the drain, it's not because of the money for the most part, and it's not necessarily because of the kids. It's because of the lack of sex. You all have to maintain your looks. You have to give each other compliments that both of you are still sexy and desirable to each other. There are a number of people who will go around the bend to dress up and look sexy to go cheat, but they can't take that same time to do what they have to do to be sexy in their own relationships. And when that happens, the two people involved in a relationship have their priorities wrong. Sex is a very important part of a relationship. We can sit here and deny it every day. But the result is we all want sex. Sex is healthy. Sex is not a dirty word. It may be dirty based on how we utilize it. If we're using sex as a weapon to manipulate somebody, that's when sex is dirty. If we're using sex to make money off of somebody, that's when sex can be dirty. Of course, prostitution is the oldest profession because it's been going on for centuries. But when it comes to relationships, and this is what this video is about, it's people in relationships, because I see a number of relationships that the partners don't seem happy with each other. And what has to happen in a relationship is start setting priorities straight. Make time to have a date night. If you have kids, put the kids to bed early. And parents, you have to start training your kids to stay out of your business. Put them in their room and you go get it on. There's no reason why you have to stop living your life because you have kids. Certainly, you don't want your kids to see what you're doing. But your relationship depends on the amount of sex that you're getting. And if you're in a loving relationship and you have kids, your kids are going to notice that. And guess what? It's going to encourage them to be in a relationship. See, stability rolls down the hill like shit rolls down the hill. You ever heard of that when you are in the workplace? You get an order from the top and it comes down to the bottom. Well, that's the same example that a relationship should have. Kids need to know that their parents are in a healthy relationship. And parents, you need to teach your children about sex, because sex is not a dirty word. Now, you shouldn't be out there having sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Sue, Cindy, and Salethia. No. But if you have a healthy relationship, you should be serving each other, and it shouldn't be rationed out. And that's another problem. These relationships fail because it's either the man or the woman who's just rationing out the sex. And when you do that, somebody's going to cheat. Now you have to ask yourself this. Do you want your relationship, or do you want to go out in the street? Because I'm going to tell you this. The dating scene is horrible. You get a number of people who themselves don't want to have sex. You get a number of unstable people, medicated people, because medicine also lowers the sex drive, particularly if a person has diabetes, they've had a stroke. You have to be aware of that. Health reasons. This is why I always say, when you're young, try to maintain your health. Because when you get older and you can't function, you're not going to be a good partner, especially when it comes to sex. And yes, you can be in your 50s, you can be in your 60s, and you can be in your 70s and still make good love. Everybody thinks that when you get to the middle ages or the senior ages that you're supposed to be rocking grandchildren in a rocking chair. No, you should be getting it on, particularly after the kids are gone. Sex is important when you are an adult in a relationship. And if you're not having sex, there's problems. If you're not getting in the shower, and have sex naked, have sex with the lights on. You get individuals who don't like their bodies. Listen, sexiness and beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. With a partner, I should be able to see my partner's body and enjoy my partner's body just like they should see mine, because what goes on behind closed doors is our business. But at the end of the day, the mood only starts with the psyche of the person. Now, different things can enhance the psyche of a person. Again, sexy underwear, such as bras and panties, and maybe some Speedo bikini shorts for men, good shampoos for your hair, colognes, good lipstick, and most of all, you got to know how to kiss. You got to hold hands. You have to be affectionate with each other. And when it comes to being in a relationship, that relationship is your world. And you should not let anyone or anything else penetrate that relationship. So, when you have all that prioritized, you must understand that sex is just as important as having money. Because if you're not having sex, you don't have a relationship. And what happens? One or both parties is going to seek it somewhere else. And when that happens, your relationship is fractured forever. You can forgive, but you can't forget. So this message to you ladies and you men: don't neglect your partner of sex, because you want to keep your relationship strong and healthy, because stability is going to keep you happy. Drama is going to keep you stressed. And what did I say with stress? It's the number one killer. So once again, sex is a very important part of a relationship. You should be having sex with each other if you want your relationship to last. Because your relationship is a partnership. And being in a partnership means you share everything, including your bodies, with each other. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Thursday, December 7th, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversial issues, or emotional issues. And that just depends on how the audience is taking the issue. Because if it is very direct and the truth comes out, well, you could be emotional with a reaction. But basically, on this channel, I keep everything positive and 100% realistic. That's why I do not engage in drama and or unnecessary bickering, because it's counterproductive. This channel is an information channel for teaching, and what I do is teach men, women, young and old, about how the real world works. I'll give you my perspective, and I'll give you perspective from the research that I do, so I can come up with the information, help you do a lot better when it comes to thinking. Because if you don't understand how the real world works, you're going to fail. Because with knowledge comes power. If you have a business, a topic, or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. but make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering. If you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other. Have a wonderful and blessed night. Good night.